they got so successful that they were the second best-selling black record label at the time. I mean, the first year, I think about the first year, they did about $30 million in business. 30 million.
Sure. Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Okay, bro. Right. So obviously you heard me say what I had to say there, bro. And
right,
you know what I mean? We're gonna get into it right now. So guys, we're gonna be we've been talking about the whole Philly sound going on. And I would have to say, I've never heard of a Philly sound before in my entire life. This is channel until Kevin called me Philly sound. I'm going, hold on. That. Yo, guys, you know, and I'm like, yo, these guys are absolutely serious. So we looked into we're looking into the setting up of Philly International Record. No, Philly International Records. Yeah, we're looking into the setup. So, bro, listen, kick off and teach us, bro, man. How did that start, and why did it start, and how did it start, and the founders of it?
All right. Well, the founders of the Philly Sound is Kenneth Campbell and Leon Huff. They started the record company in 1971 with funding from CBS Records when Clive Davis was the CEO for Columbia Records, or CBS at the time. And CBS wanted to build a black division to compete with Motown and so on, because they realized there's money to be made by black music. It was the emerging sound, and it was a lucrative business. And so they're trying to get into the game,
of course.
And why not do it with established record producers who had a track record already? Why not? And who had a label called Gamble Records, which produced a million seller by Cowboys to Go. Why not? And so there was a research that was conducted by Harvard University about the vitality and the possibility and the potential and the possibility of black music becoming a major force and a recording business sector within the music industry on a whole. And so, especially when you look at the track record of Motown and so forth, you know, why not? And VJ Records, let's see what we can do here. And so they helped Gamble enough to set up a record company in 1971. And the interesting thing, the first 9 months of business, they sold about 9 million copies worth of singles and 2 million copies in albums in the first 9 months before the ink was dry.
Jeez.
And
made the money back.
Yeah, they made their money back, really. Because each album, the cost to do each album was $25,000 per album. So they made their money back, you know. The first single by the label to go R&B number one was Backstabbers, which was a commentary single, which I will go into it some of the time, but it's talking about the issues to do with relationship. Backstabber. It was the first million seller as well, and it was number one. It was number one for a week, September. And then the second number one was If You Don't Know Me By Now, which was for
that
2
Philly
weeks.
Records? If You Don't Know Me By Now?
Yes, it was the second million seller, featuring
who is that?
Teddy Pendergrass, the Arrow Melvin and the Blue Notes, featuring Teddy Pendergrass. That's the original one, not the one that Simple Red did. This is the one that was done in 1972.
Oh, so Simply Red covered that record.
That's right. Simple Red did a copy
so
of it.
Philly Records would have made money from Simply Red's version of it, correct?
Yes, and then the Gamble enough would make money as the songwriters to make royalties. You know, okay.
Man, I need to start writing some music.
Okay, yes. And they received a Grammy Award for that song as well, too. And Simple Reds did. Yeah, they received a Grammy Award for Song of the Year, R&B Song of the Year. Okay, and then after that, the following track that went, the third track to go number one on the R&B charts that year in 1972 was Me and Mrs. Jones. Ooh.
1972.
Actually, it was also the first track to go number one on the pop singles chart as well. It was on both charts for 3 weeks each. I think, from what I get to understand, it sold about 6 million copies, that single, finally.
So
6 million copies, Me and Mrs. Jones.
Me and Mrs. Jones. Okay, because I'm looking at their album discography, between 1971 and 1985. So the release of the album called Going East by Billy Paul. Then they got one.
They got one by Billy Paul. 360 Degrees. That was the gold album. That's where Me and Mrs. Jones came out of that.
Mrs. Jones came out of that one. Yes. I see it in 72. So 71 they did Going East, and then they got 360 Degrees of Billy Paul coming out the next year, and then you got the album Backstabbers by OJ's.
That's correct. That was a gold album as well.
That's a gold.
So that was a gold album. Yeah, that sold over 500,000 units. It was the OJ's first gold album, and from that gold album there was 2 million sellers too, Love Train and Backstabbers. It was a huge best-selling album.
So no, this is superb. People, you have to realize that, a million copies are selling in the early 70s when being black was not fashionable. And I want to emphasize there's a lot of racism going on. The system of systemic racism was another level, and they were just, it kept rising right then as the people in the South were moving to the north, and the depopulation of the spread of black people hitting areas, and they're putting into ghettos, and people had to find a way out. Everybody thinks that we all did drugs and took it out, but to see these guys not only do music, bro, but do music so they can be head of a table. They never got the money, never got the money to bankroll it. But sometimes you have to realize that as much as we love the independent market right now, bro, we still need to plug into an international system to be successful. You still got to plug into Spotify. You still got to be plugged into all these platforms that are not owned by Insta. You have to still plug into Instagram, to YouTube. So whatever you look at it, that you have to go through something, you know what I'm saying? So it's great to see businessmen set things up in the way that they'll get top businesses like Columbia Records, top business, to invest into an infrastructure to capitalize on its talented black people in this area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And who'd say we can't do that today? But anyway, that's just me.
The thing about it, which is interesting, in 72. By 72, Gambling Up had about 4 or 5 singles that were million sellers,
And
they had about that amount already. We're just talking about Gambling Up. We're not talking about Tom Bell. Tom Bell is a separate program coming out from the same studio.
So Tom Bell's totally different. But I want to also. And I know I don't want to come overly black, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I looked at the OJ's front cover of Backstabbers, bro, and they got 3 brothers with a big afro each. And this is an era where I when I watch old music from in the 50s and the 60s, I find that black people would straight perm their hair or straighten out or try and Europeanize their look. But right about now, bro, these guys are
these guys were
different.
They were talking about black consciousness and pride.
They
were not. They were very proud of their heritage and who they are. They wasn't in a apologetic mood. These guys were standing up, as James Brown said, "I'm black and I am proud." There was a totally different philosophical thinking altogether.
And this is the beauties of the 70s. Now I'm looking at Billy Paul released out an album called Ebony Woman. And so for anybody who don't know what ebony means, I tell you what it don't mean. It means a lady who is of color. You know what I'm saying?
Beauty, a black beauty.
So these guys are now are releasing out these conscious records, and you got
conscious. That's, you see, you got to remember right about that time when that came out, Marvin Gaye with What's Going On, Consciousness.
Okay, yeah.
And Stevie Wonder, what he's doing with Superstition and Higher Plane and so forth. All those stuff are coming out. Superfly, Black Empowerment, Consciousness. This is different philosophical thinking, Schaff and so forth. Remember that around that time you had black arrangers like Bobby Martin, Tom Bell, Norman Whitfield and so forth, arranging these classical tracks, these lush, sophisticated tracks coming out. And the studio that they were working from is called Sigma Studio, which is Joe Tasha's studio.
Okay.
They became so successful that the studio was running 24 hours. The amount of music that was coming out of Philly. Remember, we're dealing on the tip of the iceberg. If you ever check the list of records that was recorded at Sigma, there's many music in the archives, even from Gambling Up and Tom Bell and so on, that people haven't heard.
Okay, right, guys. I'm going to give you an illustration, guys. I'm on Wikipedia now, looking at this discography of albums from Philadelphia International Record Company, and by the time I get to the end of the 76, let me go to 76 when I was born. Yeah, you got Billy Paul releasing that let him in. You know what I'm saying? You got Teddy Pendergrass coming out in 1977 with an album called Teddy Pendergrass. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hold on a second. By that time, guys, I'm seeing Bagger literally. I'm looking at strong 20, 30 albums by the time you get to the mid 70s. So guys, we've got to produce. We've got to produce. If you don't produce, you don't gain. Our production levels have to stand up. We have to create stables to produce. You know what I'm saying? And it's what I'm saying for the UK gospel scene. We need to stop this whole, I bring out the album when be part of a collective to produce music continually. So when you working on your stuff, somebody else is releasing, and there's when you're working again. So when you've got like Pendergrass brings out his thing, Billy Paul could be working on his next album, and then when he's touring, then he brings out his album, and this tour starts again, and then they go around. You got the OJs take a year between each album, and they're bringing out stuff. And you've got people like Montgomery. You got all the 3 Degrees. Oh my bro, like 3 Degrees. Where did they pop up?
Yeah. The 3 Degrees. The 3 Degrees had 2 back-to-back gold albums in the UK.
So one second,
gold albums and 2 gold singles. When Will I See You Again, which was a million seller in the UK.
Was that on the international album?
The album was 3 Degrees. It was a gold album that sold about 500,000 units almost. Both of them sold. And Year of Decision sold about 500,000. 2 gold albums back to back in the UK from Gambling Off, from Philly International. They listen. They by the mid 70s, Gambling Off was the premier record producer in America and one of the biggest producers in the world.
Wow. I'm going through this, man. I'm like going, what on earth are they?
Yeah. Because remember, they had a publishing house called Mighty 3 Publishing, which is jointly owned by Tom Bell and Gambling Off. That publishing house was one of the biggest publishing house in the US.
Jeez.
The amount of hits that was coming from there, because don't forget now, you had Norman Harris doing production, you had Bonnie Stagler doing production, you had Tom Bell doing outside production, you had Bobby Martin doing outside production. I mean, these guys were smashing hits. Like they came so big that they were actually eclipsing Motown in terms of hits at one point.
Now, did they teeth one of Motown's favorites, the Jacksons? Yeah. So well, I thought Jacksons were Motown.
They didn't. No, they didn't really. It's just that the Jacksons left Motown and had a new contract with Epic Records, and Epic Records decided to put them in the responsibility of gambling enough to produce them in 1976. So they didn't steal them. It's just that they said, why you see what you can get hits out of my Jacksons. And they got Enjoy Yourself, Show Me the Way to Go. The Enjoy Yourself was a 2 million copy single now. 2 million copies single, Enjoy Yourself by the Jacksons. Mind you, we're jumping the gun because I'm trying to keep into.
Okay. So,
that's fine. But that's fine. You know, we can go back. We can go back and forth.
Yeah, cool. No, that sounds great. So, cool. Let's come back. Let's come back into the roots because I was getting excited.
But you got to remember is that they had one of the best studio bands in the business as well. Mother is called MFSB, Mother, Father, Brother, Sister. That was comprised of 30 key members of the sound. You know, white and black guys and ladies involved. You know, you got Bobby Eli, Roland Chambers, Ron Kirsty, Norman Harris, and Earl Young on drums. And of course, those the guys that I mentioned before, they were like Ronnie Baker was the bass player, and Bobby Eli and Norman Harris and Ronnie Kirsty were the guitarists. Larry Washington percussions, Zachary trumpet, and Lenny Pacola was organs, and you know, he had keyboards and so on. I mean,
I see that.
Don Rolando. And some of the members that we mentioned were from the Philadelphia Symphony Orchestra, as well as some of the. And also Earl Young, the great legendary Earl Young, was self-taught. So when you hear all those music, it was by a self-taught drummer.
Bro, this is a band, bro. I'm looking at these guys. Listen, man. Mother, father, sister, and brother. And you know what? Yeah. That's unity right there, man. They got the funk, they got the groove. They said, listen, we're gonna do things.
Consciousness.
And this is what I'm saying to you, people. Being proud of being black doesn't mean we don't work with white people. It's not the case. It's not that. We're not preaching that. We're preaching unity, but don't be out of fear. Them white people weren't going, oh, we can't call it ebony. No, they'd be like, yeah, man, ebony. Let me just get some grooves. What you saying? Yeah, right hand, righteous, my sister. Yeah. I mean, on it. Sorry, guys, gotta be excited with that part. But you know what, bro? You see what I'm saying to you, bro? Unity. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Unity. Not, oh, guys. You gotta do, you know, Footman has to be Elvis, you know what I mean? And whatever story. It's called Unity. We'll back what everything we got. That's amazing, bro. Amazing.
Yeah, the amount of hit records was coming out at some point. Sometime there would be about 7 or 8 singles that were million sellers coming out of Philly at one time. Sometimes, at its peak. I mean, when you talk about Tom Bell was rocking million sellers from 1971 with the Stylistics, you know, Make Up to Break Up, you know, Stop, Listen to Your Heart Say. And with Tom Bell, we talk about Tom Bell next week, but what I'm saying is that these guys were smashing hits, like they were just tearing up the charts, bro.
I'm seeing their work great, bro. Because you know, now guys, no, I'm not a guru when it comes to music outside of Christianity. I'll be honest with you. So I hear the hits and I hear the vibe. So I'm not coming here as a fan of this music. I'm coming here purely on here to just celebrate gospel, black music. Yeah, and I'm looking at this, and I'm just seeing hit after hit after hit after hit, success after success. And don't get me wrong, guys, it's hard work. My friend always says, listen, success doesn't come easy. Yeah, and I think today's generation wants easy success, and they're standing on hard work. I want you to realize that. So yeah, everything is hard work and intentional. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think about it? Before Kenneth Gamble and Lee have had that level of success, rather.
Yeah.
They were in the music business about 10 years before.
Yeah, this is it. This is what I'm saying. They're bringing that
They
seasoning.
were in the business 10 years before they had that level of success during the early 70s.
Jeez.
You know, it didn't just happen overnight. These men forged and developed their craft, the writing skills, the production skill, the mixing, out to arrange a studio band, get the right arrangers working with them, get the best working with them to get their musical vision in sync and effective enough to become a successful music model, or business model rather. And so, they learned from the best. They watched how Motown did things, and they decided to duplicate it in Philly and take it to another level.
Brilliant.
And it was a family operation. It was a family business. They got so successful that they were the second best-selling black record label at the time. I mean, they did about $30 million in business. 30 million. I mean, how much do you think 30 million is today?
Bro,
in inflation, bro. What do you think about it? A couple of 100 million done. Yeah,
I bet the American tax company was like, yo, we want a piece of that. You know what I mean? Yo, this is when you want to be based in Bermuda, mate.
yeah. That's right.
On the triangle.
That's right.
But it's absolutely scary, bro. And I'm seeing now, bro, I know you don't want to go too many into future names, but I'm looking at artists like Patti LaBelle.
Yeah, Patti LaBelle, she was the first Philly international artist to have a gold record and an R&B number one. She had an R&B number one for 4 weeks with a gold album that sold over 500,000 units. Yeah, she came. That was the first time in her career to get a gold album. She had to go to a black label to get that.
Wow,
that's another interesting. That is during the 80s. We talk about that. Yeah.
So what's a good one? You know what I mean? She had to go to. So what label was she part of before?
She was a part of Epic, the main label.
Yeah.
But she didn't do very well until she went to Philly International, where she was born in Philadelphia, and Gamble Enough was able to give her a hit album with a second studio album. I'm in Love Again was the second studio album, and it went gold certified, and it had a R&B number one. If only we knew, if only I knew, we knew, if only I knew, which was number one for 4 weeks. Yeah, monster. It was a monster hit for 4 weeks, bro. 4 solid weeks. And hey, listen, this is another interesting record as well.
Touch me.
So we just jump in the gun.
Yeah, man.
Teddy Pendergrass is one of the first recording artists in history to have a succession of platinum albums. Succession, bro. Succession, you know.
I heard about this guy, Teddy Pendergrass, and he sounds like some sort of absolute genius.
Teddy Pendergrass was one of the first artists to have woman-only concerts, bro. The brother was ordained at the age of 13 as a music minister, and he's one of the best selling. He was one of the best selling black male artists of all time. He was a monster. He used to have sellout woman only concerts. Sellout, bro.
Is that how is going on?
And he would collect for concert revenue. He collect about 100,000 per night. He was 100,000. That's what he gets from his concert. Yeah, 100,000 per night during the 70s. And so if he did a national tour for 8 months, can you imagine how many millions he earned? Yeah. Yeah.
Bro, you talk about these, not mate. You talk about these numbers.
Oh, not only that. I'm jumping the gun, but he's one of the first black artists to have a clothing line, teddy bear jeans, long before Jay-Z and all them brothers.
Okay,
long before Jay-Z.
Teddy.
Yeah, he was a serious businessman. Yeah, he had teddy bear jeans, bro.
Okay, so coming out, the Philly International Company, because I know we're coming up to a close, but the Philly International, who would you say is the 2-3 flagship artists out there? Because bro, I'm just seeing pure names out there. Which artist would you say 2-3? Because I'm seeing the OJs, I'm seeing Ebony's, I'm seeing obviously MFSB, you know what I'm saying? I'm seeing Fad Jones and Mel Lewis, Montgomery, People's Choice. I'm seeing all these bands. Who is, if you said Philly International Records, which 3 artists would you say?
That's easy. That's easy.
Oh, it's easy.
Arrow, Melvin and the Blue Notes featuring Teddy Pendergrass and the OJs. They and then of course at number 4 would be Lou Rawls in terms of albums. But the Teddy Pendergrass and the OJs are the 2 biggest selling artists of the label. I mean, the OJs did about 7 million copies in albums, while Teddy did about 6 million plus in albums.
The OJs, right? These guys are the because obviously growing up I've heard of the OJs, but again I was just like into gospel music alone still, so I wasn't really I heard about this music, but I never really got into it. People talk to me about it and whatever, but I definitely heard of the OJs. Obviously when you're watching Cosby Show and all these guys, you kind of hear kind of things. Nah, it's deep, bro. That's deep. The OJs, yes.
Love Train, Backstabber, Used to Be My Girl. Got to give the people what they want. I Love Music, and the list goes on. Oh yes, and they did a track of the Our Father Prior. Man, these guys were philosophical as well.
And guys, you got to look at this time as well. You got Vietnam is going on right now.
That's right.
And Muhammad Ali is kicking off. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Me not go no fight no white man war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's right.
And, you know what I mean?
Right.
So all this is kicking off. And you can imagine that these people, they're seeing their loved ones go to Vietnam and get murdered for what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they come back, and people don't realize, you know what I'm saying, to be that resolute, to hear stories. You know what I'm saying? Coming back home, and if they don't come back home, they're losing people. The morale of the US is at the bottom. But at the same time, you're seeing this surge through the early 70s as they're fighting in Vietnam, and seeing this music rise and rise and rise. So it looks like when the Americans finally got out of Vietnam, they're like, hold on a second, is this the black takeover here? When they're watching all the music here. So it must be crazy.
Yeah, that's right. Because during the Nixon period, was one of the most prolific growth in black music. It's some of the hits that came out during the Nixon period and during the Watergate was incredible. Because you're having hits from Al Green, you're having hits from Curtis Mayfield, you're having hits from Marvin Gaye, you're having from Isaac Hayes, you're having hits from the Temptations, you're having hits from Diana Ross, you're having hits from the 3 Degrees, you're having hits from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. You're having hits from the OJs and Delphonics and the Stylistics and the Spinners, and the list goes on. You get what I mean? It's
absolutely
hits, and then don't forget about Barry White.
What's it? Barry White released in Philly?
No, he wasn't on Philly. These people, I'm just mentioning these different people.
I got me scared then.
I'm just mentioning these different people who are from other labels. Some of the labels I'm mentioning them, but from were black-owned labels as well.
I'm just checking out Nixon. Yeah, you mentioned about Nixon. His term was from 1969 to 1974. So the birth of Philadelphia was birthed in the period of the Nixon period, and obviously
that's right.
Nixon was, you know what I mean, he wasn't no revolutionary, as we know what happened to the other revolutionary before him anyway, still, you know. The fight was on, but you know, we just want to really take this time, bro, and just have a look at, you know, setting up record companies. And it says a lot to me, you know. I'm looking at, you know, I'm not saying looking to set up a record company. I'm done working with artists, as they would say, but something I would encourage people, to do is like I said, you can't just come in this, bro, and work with people that's been around for 6 months. You gotta come in with that seasoning, bro. And people are seeing these things built, are gonna see day one, and it's not day one, bro. It's day 10. It's day 10. You know what I mean? So as you said, when we see Philadelphia international company starting in 1970 or 69 or 70, around about there, 1971. Yeah, we don't realize that really and truly the sound goes all the way back over a decade. Things were being built into this position. So UK.
That's right.
Have we got the patience?
That's right.
To wait 10 years? That's the reality of the situation. Have we got the patience to say, listen, we're gonna be intentionally developing this up so the platform is there, so we can now sell millions of copies? Because we can, bro. We can. You know what I'm saying? For me,
we can.
If Stormzy if Stormzy can lead Glastonbury with effectively a gospel track that's been created for him, why can't we do it ourselves? Intentional moves. You know what I mean? So that's my encouragement. Just want to round this off, bro. What's the highlight for you when it comes to Philadelphia International Record Company?
Well, the highlight for me is that Gamblin have developed a philosophy of black empowerment and showing that blacks can unite and effective and deliver a very legendary and very transcending sound.
Yeah.
And produce some of the best entertainers of all time. You know,
wow.
The music still lives on forever.
Wow.
You know, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's definitely crazy, bro. No, I definitely appreciate that, bro. And definitely Philadelphia International Records, we salute you for what you have done. My goodness sake. And then we're going to be looking at some of the offshoots of what was going on in Philadelphia International Records next time. And don't go worry, guys. We got coming up as well is what was the result of Philadelphia? What was the seeds of Philadelphia?
Yes.
Because the seeds.
When you go down there, the spin-offs from Gerald Levert, you know, the stuff that other labels
did
sampled. And you know, the Roots and John Poyser and all these different people, James Poyser, who experienced growing up during that period and developed their own sound.
James
Coming
Poyser,
out
man.
of Philly, yes.
Listen, Poyser, listen, man, we're ready for you, man. You know what I'm saying? From Sheffield, UK. You know what I'm saying?
Sheffield, bro, yes.
Listen.
So that is a couple of programs. There's a couple of programs down.
Listen.
But when we get into that, boy, he's gonna.
This is crazy. This is exciting, bro. We're looking into Philadelphia music. People going, how's that related to us in the UK? And you didn't realize that the UK got involved in the Philadelphia International Sound. And I'm the UK, a young little church boy from Sheffield, of Jamaican descent.
Sound. Yes, it's got involved in the Philly sound.
Crazy, yeah. Listen, Kevin, thanks again for jumping on the station for us today.
No problem.
You know what I'm saying? And we're here to salute black music and the history of it, the rich history of black music. Thanks again, Kevin, man, and we love when we'll catch up again, man. Yeah. Take care.
Peace and love. Peace
Bless
and love,
you, man.
Peace
Take
and
care,
love.
man. Blessings.
Peace. Yeah.
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.